Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 22 of Coloring Outside the Box. And I have to tell you that for the last few days, this song that's been rattling around in my brain as I got excited about doing this podcast, as it's the first one in a month, was Back in the Saddle again, and it keeps on rotating around and around. And that's because, the last few months have been a bit of a challenge for me, and I haven't, as you notice, haven't been around much. And today I am back in the saddle again. So today we're going to talk about the Pisces new moon, which happens on Saturday morning. So take a deep breath, because that's one of the first things you should do as we approach this new moon in Pisces. Because after all, right now the moon is already in Pisces. And so you're already going to be feeling that little, you know, that what I call soupiness, what I call, wispy, foggy, but soupy. That seems to be the theme for this year, especially because once again, we have a new moon that has a stellium of planets, which means, of course, a concentrated amount of energy in one particular sign. And so, what does all that mean for us when we're talking about this new moon? Well, it opens the door and it creates some space, and it's yeah. Okay, I can already tell we're in Pisces because things are swimming around in my head, and I'm having. It's like watching something float by, and you want to go out and grab it, and you want to reach out for it, but it's a little bit elusive. And that really is the new moon in Pisces, because we're not supposed to hold on to anything. We're not supposed to grab anything. This is a new moon in which, it's largely a waste of time to try to quantify anything or even qualify it. It's all about just being in the mix, being in the energy, being present for what is emerging from other parts of your consciousness. I know I've said this before, and about us humans being multi-frequency. So when the new moon in Pisces comes along, it introduces us to that in frequency of what I call imagination and inspiration. Now, I haven't talked much about this, but I really think that the key word for 2021 is willingness. Which implies not having any preconceived ideas, not having any preconceived expectations. And the moon in Pisces comes along to assist us in this. So last month's new moon in Aquarius, because it was part of a stellium as well, a concentration of energy that wanted us to break down and break through. But the key is what happens once you break down and you break through. You often find yourself in a space and a place where you're not sure if anything's real. Everything feels like a void because there's nothing familiar in it. So the new moon in Pisces invites us to inhabit that space now that we've broken through, inhabit that space and be open to what rises up, what surfaces, what emerges from the world of what I call the improbable and the impossible. Because, of course, we humans always take ourselves to the edge of what we think the limits are and think that's the end. That's very Saturnian. So what we measure as real are the things that we can quantify, that we can get on a tape measure, we can get out, this is a hammer, this is a nail, and what do we do with those things? That's very Saturnian. But the last two new moons, their invitation is, again, not to just go beyond it. Now the new moon in Pisces is asking you to create something out of that void, out of that space where it doesn't seem anything exists, because you haven't imagined it yet, because you haven't invited it into your conscious mind. I'm going to let that sit for a second. The new moon in Pisces, the energy around it is often like that of meditation, where you go in and you're open to whatever shows up. The new moon in Pisces is also an invitation to pay attention to the things that pop out at you, at the things that inspire you, the things that make you go, oh, that seems worth following. It's not an accident that the sign of Pisces is very much connected to dreams, and again, to that sense that there are no boundaries. Now, that's often a challenge for us because we have to remember that we do live in the third dimension, and it's okay to have boundaries on a physical level. The key with the moon in Pisces is not to create limits or things that hold you back, or limitations, or things that hold you back, walls, blockages, when it comes to your consciousness, not necessarily to your physical body. The moon in Pisces invites us to merge into that space of our own imagination, not the space of other people and their problems. Because of course the moon in Pisces is extremely compassionate and quite capable of loving unconditionally. And it doesn't always realize that one has to have boundaries in the physical world. And sometimes even boundaries on a psychic level, because of course this is also the most, the new moon that you're most likely to feel flooded by a whole bunch of stuff that that doesn't have any essential physical form, but it wants to live in our consciousness, and we do have a choice as to what we pay attention to, and of course symbols will be important. The things that really matter to you symbolically, this is a good time to generate them. It's a good time to play with a deck of oracle cards and see what your consciousness is communicating to you, but without the need to put it in a context to start out with, because we humans love to put things in a context. And it's not that we don't seek meaning in it, but sometimes we're too quick to go into our logical mind or conscious mind and find the slot that this belongs in, as opposed to just being present for the experience of seeing what it is emerges from your imagination and your consciousness. So one of the pitfalls, of course, of the new moon in Pisces is not to attach yourself too much to any particular thing, any particular idea. And what I mean by attach is immediately try to manifest itself. Go, well, I'll give you an example. Like the other morning I woke up, and this is a very moon in Pisces kind of experience. And I had an idea, fully formed idea about a new webinar I could do. And so I jotted down a few notes, but I did not immediately start planning it because it's not time. It's like it's feeling like something parachutes into your consciousness and you go, wow, that's bright and shiny, and I really like that. And you can feel in your consciousness, in your body, that this is important to you. But try not to push yourself too fast, because things need to emerge. I've had a lot of these experiences in my life. Like I get titles for things and no idea what it's about. I'm working currently on a book that shall remain nameless, and the title came to me probably 20 years ago. And then it went through a bunch of permutations in terms of what it's going to be and how I'm going to write it. And the interesting thing was that when the title first showed up and I started working with it, I just couldn't imagine how it was going to manifest itself. It just felt really important to me. And the reason why I couldn't attach myself or imagine or even get a read on what it was supposed to be was because it had a period, quite a long period actually, of time where it shifted form and shifted intent, yeah, it's that's really what the moon in Pisces is like. So whatever drops into your consciousness, don't run out and try to uh, make it tomorrow. It will reveal itself. Anything that is truly um, part of your spiritual path or part of your path in life doesn't have a shelf life. It's going to emerge, it's going to reveal itself because if you've brought it into your conscious mind and you feel in your body how important it is, trust me, it will be there. It will continue to grow on other parts of your consciousness, and you will feed it on other frequencies. We always think that the only way to do something is to feed it physically. So in other words, make a plan, start the process, and that doesn't mean, for instance, that you can't write a bunch of stuff. You're like me and you're working on a book and then go back to it. It just means don't. We often see the new moon as, the whole thing wrapped up in a tidy little package, when always the new moon is just a beginning, just an initiation. And no At no time during the year is this more important than we're talking about the new moon in Pisces, because the Pisces energy really is like a combination of releasing, but also being open. We always want to make categories and delineate things in boxes, and energy just doesn't work that way. So, if you find that, some of the stuff from the previous new moons, like, the new moon in Capricorn in January, sorting out what part of the structure of your life still functions for you and giving it new life as a preparation for what's coming. And then the new moon in Aquarius, where you had to break things down and push through limits and whatever. Uh, and now we're in the new moon in Pisces. They all work together. And, you know, trying to put them in a box often negates or limits us in terms of what it is we can accomplish going forward. That we don't have to accomplish everything. It you know, uh, in the first 5 minutes after the idea came to us, or the feeling came to us, or the plan, or the call to do something. This is also about what's calling to you. What's calling to you from deep within. Now, because we have all this concentration of energy in Pisces, you're going to be having some wild dreams, some really interesting dreams. And sometimes dreams are our consciousness way of entertaining us while we're sleeping. And other times there's a lot of material in there that we can feel there's something significant. You want to reach out again, you want to reach out. But you just need to know that the way your consciousness functions, if it's something truly important, it's going to come back again. It's not a one-time offer. It's just not. So, the other facet of this new moon is really allowing relationships, and connections with others. You're going to maybe meet people that you feel simpatico with, that sort of brighten up your life, and you brighten up theirs. So there's a call to get reconnected, but we're looking for connections that are more transcendental and less, how should I put it? And trust me, I don't mean they're impractical. I just mean they operate on another frequency. We're going to be outside our comfort zone when it comes to connecting with others. We're going to find, a level of compassion is required both towards ourselves and towards others in the next 27 point whatever days it is before the next new moon in Aries, which will be another really powerful initiation point, especially since it's the spring equinox. So I just want to check my notes because I actually made some. And so just remember that the Pisces new moon dissolves and creates. And the key words that you can use for this are imagine and play. So often the new moon in a particular sign allows us to play with a lot of different moving bits. And so, like last month, you might have felt like your life became a bunch of disconnected pieces that didn't quite fit because they didn't. And so the new moon in Pisces comes along and it gives you an opportunity to begin to rearrange things, but also to let go of things that uh, just don't hold any resonance for you. It's not even that they're not useful; they just don't speak to you. Because the moon in Pisces is all about what speaks to my heart, what speaks to my deeper consciousness. And the new moon in Pisces always is going to remind us that inspiration comes before perspiration. One of the challenges we face in this world, because we get so focused on what can I make, we don't realize that until you have an inspiration, until you have something calling to you, there's nothing to make. We always think we can build the structure first and then fill it up with our dreams. Doesn't work that way. It's the dreams, it's the visions, it's the imaginings that lead us to create something, that lead us to build something or make something. So I hope you enjoy this new moon on Saturday, and just know that the new moon will last for let's see, probably another 2.5 to 3 days after the new moon actually begins. So a lot of people want to do rituals or they want to invite certain things in. Just know that you have a period of, I always call the new moon pregnant possibilities. And so just remember that if you don't, like for instance, where I live, the new moon is in the middle of the night. And I'm not planning to get up to do a ritual, but I could do it later in that day. It has more to do with feeling the energy and working with the energy than it has to do with okay, so the power of the new moon does not wane immediately afterwards. It's there. You can work with it. It's not, again, a finite container, especially the new moon in Pisces. So once again, enjoy this new moon in Pisces. It's going to feel very lovely, very warm, and very, very enjoyable. So make sure on Saturday that you do something that invites play into your life, that invites your imagination to communicate with you. Because we all have one, whether we think we do or we don't. So thanks again for joining me. I am hoping that my body is now going to comply with my request that I begin a more regular, sort of get back in the swing again. That's that song, Back in the Saddle, keeps on resonating in my head over and over again. And I'm not sure why, of all the country songs I've ever heard, and this, I don't even remember which cowboy movie that comes from when I was a kid, but hey, which reminds me, often that's, you can find the new moon in Pisces allows you to float back and forth between this time period and other time periods, and experience or connect to something that really stood out for you when you were younger, because the moon is about memories, and the Pisces is about what stirs our imagination and what stirred our imagination in the past. Anyway, onward. Thanks again. Talk to you soon, and please take care of yourself. Much love. Bye-bye.